Hey Guardians, I just want to let everyone know that I do have both a Twitch and a Twitter, and I'm very active on both. Feel free to come give me a follow on both, links in the description. Okay, you see the title of the video, pretty well self-explanatory. I just really like Thorn. I'm kind of thinking with, again, content being as slow as it is right now, I may start doing this sort of video more often. Because, again, right now I'm just trying to focus on finding ways to have fun in the Crucible and making content again, which is extraordinarily difficult as a PvP player right now. But if you like this sort of video, then let me know in the comments, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button with the bell icon, and also please consider using the hype function to get this video some extra attention. You get 3 free hypes per week, and it really does help us smaller content creators out a ton. For now, I'll see you on the next one. Peace, Guardians. Okay, so quick editor's note here. I did have someone on my last video comment, I would presume because I mentioned the next video might be a Thorn video, and ask to have a sort of discussion about Thorn inside of the current sandbox. And so after the gameplay, I'll have that discussion. We'll talk about Thorn as well as just kind of the state of hand cannons and PvP in general. And it should be a pretty interesting one, so stick around for that. But anyway, well, for now, we'll get into the gameplay.
Zone advantage is yours. Zone C. Zone advantage. Keep it up. Victory is yours. Zone A lost. 3 minutes. You're winning. Stay strong. Zone B. You have zone. Your next down. Fire team that fights together. Stay. Zone B, Captain. Zone advantage is yours. 2 for 1. Power play. Keep the pressure on. Zone C lost. Hunters like you blaze a path for the rest of us. Fire team that fights together stays together. 2 for 1. Zone B captured. You have zone advantage. Zone C captured. You have zone advantage. Five minutes left. Zone B, you have advantage. one. I love it. Zone B captured. You have advantage. Power play. Keep the pressure on. You have my... Triple down. Zone advantage is yours. You're in the lead. They have advantage. Zone C captured. You have advantage. Zone A lost. They have advantage. Zone advantage is yours. You've got 30 seconds. As one. I love it. Double down. Keep it up. And victory is yours. I need a hunter like you with the red jacket. They have advantage.
Okay, Guardians, so let's talk about Thorn. Now, Thorn is probably my second favorite exotic hand cannon. Ace, of course, is still, for the time being at least, my favorite exotic hand cannon. It's been that way for years. I have like 20-something thousand kills on Ace, but Thorn is a close second. And here's the reason why. When you look at everything on Thorn, how it works, how everything on it functions, this is pretty well the best hand cannon in the game if you're trying to get aggressive. And let me explain why, right? So your range is a little bit lower than what you'd find on most 140 hand cannons these days. Your stability is very good. Your handling is amazing at 85, so much so that you probably don't need to use any handling mods on Thorn. You have a very high aim assist stat, perfect recoil direction, and then more importantly, you have to look at how the exotic traits on Thorn work. So first off, Mark of the Devourer. Rounds pierce targets and deal damage over time. Kills with this weapon leave behind remnants. We all know what those are. When you kill someone, there will be this kind of green orb that spawns over where you killed them. And then if we look here, Soul Devourer, absorbing a remnant strengthens Mark of the Devourer and partially refills the magazine. And then with the Catalyst, which gives you Enhanced Devourer, or Soul Devourer, whatever it's called, grants bonus range and stability, dealing a final blow or absorbing a remnant grants additional increased weapon range as well as increased mobility and handling for a short time. And so of course the idea with Thorn is you get a kill, you have to run and pick up the remnant, which then gives you all of those bonuses as well as a slight bonus to your damage. I'm not sure exactly how effective this is given the changes to everyone's health with Edge of Fate. I know in the past when you picked up a remnant it could 2 crit and 1 body. I do not know if that's still the case. But when you look at that gameplay loop, this is essentially a hand cannon meant for being aggressive. This is meant for aggressive play. And that's one of the reasons I love Thorn so much. But there are some drawbacks here, partially because of the weapon and partially just because of the state of the sandbox as well as hand cannons themselves. So first off, let me say this. If Bungie were to make Thorn a 150 again, and they could balance it accordingly, right? Like shave a little bit of range off or something like that. But if Bungie were to make Thorn a 150 RPM hand cannon again, then Thorn would be by far, and I would say inarguably, the best hand cannon in the game for playing aggressively, and one of the best weapons in the game just in general for playing aggressively. And if by some miracle a Bungie dev happens to see this, you make Thorn a 150 again, and Thorn will pretty well become my new main weapon. This will replace Ace of Spades as my favorite gun in the game. But that aside, here are some of the drawbacks. For one thing, you do have that more limited range, granted not by a ton, but as I've said before, in the current sandbox where you're taking a lot more kind of rangier fights because everyone's playing very passively, my current baseline for the range stat on a 140 hand cannon is 70 or above, and Thorn does sit a little bit below that. Not so much so that it's unusable or anything like that, still perfectly viable, but it does lack range when compared to weapons like, say, Rose, Fatebringer, Exalted Truth, Finite Impactor, let alone, of course, the various 120 hand cannons in the game, which are pretty much, honestly, all just better than Thorn. And then on top of that, you have the current state of the sandbox where you have just an absolutely absurd amount of ability spam thanks to the, I would say, mistake that was the reworked stat system, at least as far as PvP goes. Anytime you try to make an aggressive push, you are met with grenades, melees, so on and so forth. You try to push up, a Warlock pops a rift, a Titan drops a barricade, a Hunter goes invis, you get a whole bunch of garbage thrown at you, and you have to either pull back or you just get to die. And of course, that goes without mentioning, you know, playing aggressively just in general is also extremely punishing right now, purely because of all of the melee garbage that's inside of the game. And so with that in mind, it's kind of hard for me to really recommend Thorn. I love this hand cannon, it's very fun, but the play style that it, in theory, should encourage just isn't the most viable inside of Crucible, and honestly a lot of times trying to take that more aggressive playstyle is just more punishing than it's worth. And that's not to say you can't use Thorn passively. Of course you can find the nearest wall and the shit out of it for the duration of a match, but if you for whatever reason want to adopt that incredibly boring playstyle, then there are just better choices. I mean, for one thing, you have 120s, which are basically made for that sort of play style, and they are much better at it than any 140. But even that aside, you have Rose, Fatebringer, Exalted, Finite Impactor, Ace, and especially Hawkmoon. Hawkmoon is like, if you're a really ratty player, Hawkmoon is your best friend. And so even if you are planning on just wall humping for an entire match, then there are still just better options than Thorn. But that aside, I still love this hand cannon. I've been using it a lot lately. I've been having a lot of fun with it. Really, my only complaint about the hand cannon itself are these horns on the side here, and these are unfortunately there regardless of the ornament you use. They just get kind of obstructive, I find, during gunfights, and then also the reticle, that kind of weird chevron thing. I hate that I hate that so much. I've talked about that before. But even with all of that, I love Thorn. It's one of the most fun weapons in the game to use. It's very satisfying to use, especially if you are at least trying to use it aggressively, which again, in the current sandbox, good luck using any weapon aggressively. But if your main goal is to try to be competitive, then there are just better options out there. Now, if I were to make one change to Thorn, it would literally be just take this to a 150. That would make this really the perfect hand cannon for a more aggressive playstyle. And again, you know, balance it accordingly, shave a little bit of range off or whatever. And do I think that would really shift the meta? Not really. At the end of the day, it's still just easier to hump a wall with a 120 that has 40 meters of range, does not need 3 crits to kill, and flinches your opponent really, really hard. But that aside, if you haven't used Thorn recently, and you're kind of bored with your more typical hand cannons, right? Rose, Cremills, Iggy, so on and so forth, maybe consider giving it a try. I had a lot of fun with it. Thorn has really always been a really good weapon. It's always been a really fun one, but that's pretty much it. That's kind of my opinion on where Thorn is inside of the sandbox. It is still a good weapon, it's still a strong weapon, I just don't think it's one of the better options out there. And just because I don't think a weapon is necessarily, you know, top tier, at least inside of, again, the current sandbox, doesn't mean it's a bad weapon. It just means that while Thorn is very strong, Cremills or Igneous is still just better. Or Hawkmoon. But that's all for me today, Guardians. Again, as I said before, if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments if you want to see more of these kind of quote-unquote ASMR style videos focusing on a particular weapon. And don't forget to hit that like button and that subscribe button with the bell icon. And if you did enjoy this video, then consider using the hype function to get it some extra attention. You get 3 free hypes per week, and it really does help us smaller content creators out a ton. But for now, I will see you on the next video. Peace, Guardians.